Of course, there are lots of scenes in the Harry Potter books that didn't make it into the films. But did you know that there are also plenty of moments in the movies that J.K. Rowling didn't actually write? Discover which movie moments were created by the filmmakers, from important interactions between characters to funny lines that provide some much-needed light relief. There's a whole scene that inspired a Lego set, and there's even an entire character that didn't exist in the novels.
I'm okay.
In the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Harry and Hermione take a moment to break the tension during their long, tense Horcrux hunt. While Nick Cave's "Oh Children" plays in the background, Harry pulls Hermione up for a dance. She's reluctant at first, but then starts to smile along with Harry as they twirl each other around. It's an important scene as it explores their platonic friendship. There's no hint of romance in it, just two close buddies supporting one another. If only Ron could have seen them, he'd know there was no need to worry something was going on between them. Sorry, Harry and Hermione shippers.
I saw you two the other night.
Ron, there's nothing.
In the books, Molly Weasley made it clear that it wasn't okay for Sirius to treat Harry as if he was his best friend, James. But the Order of the Phoenix movie takes that even further, making it explicit that Sirius mistook Harry for James in the Department of Mysteries.
Nice one, James!
The look on Harry's face sums up the devastation he feels, realizing that his godfather's connection to him was mainly due to his connection with Harry's late father. It harks back to the flashback scene in Snape's Worst Memory 2, when James uses Expelliarmus and Sirius says the exact same phrase.
Nice one, James!
There's another dancing scene that wasn't in the books, but this one is lighthearted and funny. In the Goblet of Fire movie, Professor McGonagall teaches students how to dance in preparation for the Yule Ball. The teacher wasn't so excited about the upcoming party in the book, but in the film she was much more into it, getting Ron up in front of everyone else to show them how it's done. Poor Ron is mortified, much to the amusement of Fred, George, and Harry.
Never gonna let him forget this, are you?
Never.
The scene in the Half-Blood Prince movie when Bellatrix Lestrange and Fenrir Greyback attack the Weasleys' house is so iconic that LEGO made a whole set based on it. But it's not actually in the book. So why did the film producers create this devastating moment? Well, there's a fan theory that makes a lot of sense. Firstly, it moves Harry and Ginny's relationship forward, with the pair's bond growing. It provides action to the middle section of the movie, which otherwise would have been devoid of any major moment. And we also see Lupin and Tonks as a couple. Plus, it gives Helena Bonham Carter more airtime. We get a lot of details in the Half-Blood Prince book about Dumbledore's passing and his funeral. But the movie provides an extra moment of mourning that really moves us. After Harry goes over to the body and the students and staff all watch on in utter sadness, Professor McGonagall raises her wand to the sky. The rest of the mourners follow her lead, and we see a sea of wands held aloft to honor their late headmaster. The overhead view is stunning, with all the lit tips of the wands shining upwards, and the accompanying instrumental music perfectly matches the melancholy scene. In the opening of Half-Blood Prince film, Harry is reading the Daily Prophet in a cafe. He flirts with a waitress, and when she turns her back, he hilariously checks his breath and pops a mint in his mouth. They even plan a date. But Dumbledore turns up, and that's the end of that. It's a fun scene that shows Harry acting like a regular person who isn't always preoccupied with saving the world. It replaces the book scene where Harry's reading the paper at the Dursleys, and Dumbledore turns up at 4 Privet Drive. We would have loved to see that happen too.
She was truthfully very pretty, the girl.
One of Harry's most endearing features is his ability to crack an unexpected joke. And he does this in a scene during the Half-Blood Prince when Hermione is trying to help him figure out who to take to Slughorn's Christmas party. She tells him that Romilda Vane,
Trying to smuggle you a love potion.
Harry's funny reply shows a sense of humor and that he can have lighthearted moments about being a reluctant celebrity.
She's only interested in you because she thinks you're the chosen one.
But I am the chosen one.
This moment in the Half-Blood Prince isn't an entire scene that's unique to the film, but rather a few funny sections that didn't appear in the book. Harry taking Professor Slughorn down to Hagrid's for Aragog's funeral features in both the book and the movie, but Dan Radcliffe's impression of a giant spider with pincers is particular to the film, and it's a wonderful bit of light relief. In the Deathly Hallows Part 2 film, we get an extra Draco moment that J.K. Rowling didn't create, but which shows how he's torn between loyalty to his family and his deep-down desire to be a better guy. When his parents summon him over to their side after the Battle of Hogwarts, something seriously creepy happens. Lord Voldemort reaches out and gives Draco the most awkward hug ever.
Well done.
The looks on the faces of the students watching the disturbing scene sum up how creeped out we feel too. J.K. Rowling gives Harry, and us readers, some much welcome information about Harry's mom through Slughorn's memories of Lily. These translate from the book to the film, but we also get an extra insight into Lily's personality in the Half-Blood Prince movie that Rowling didn't include in the book. Slughorn reveals that Lily made him a pet fish, which she created out of a flower petal, and the fish vanished when she passed away. It's a touching moment which provides a greater insight into just how kind Lily was.
Flower petal had come from a lily. Your mother.
During the Battle of Hogwarts in the Deathly Hallows Part 2, Neville has a heroic moment where he leads the Snatchers across the covered wooden bridge. In the book, it's mentioned that Neville dueled Scabior, and some Snatchers met their fate by falling from the bridge. But in the film adaptation, it's elaborated. We see Professor McGonagall telling Neville and Seamus to use pyrotechnics to rig the bridge. And then we see the visually impressive moment when the bridge collapses. It might not have been in J.K. Rowling's original vision, but we're in favor of Neville having more chances to shine.
That went well.
There's a whole character who appears in the movies that doesn't even exist in the books. And that's Nigel Wolpert, a Gryffindor we first meet in the Goblet of Fire film. He becomes a member of Dumbledore's army and has that Colin Creevey-style admiration of Harry and the squad. In fact, it's thought that Nigel was a replacement for Colin, who continued to feature in the books until the end, but only appeared in the Chamber of Secrets movie. Nigel popped up in various scenes, always eager to help. He even delivered Ron's mail, hoping that he'd get Harry's autograph in return. Bless. There's another moment in the Deathly Hallows Part 2 that's particular to the movie. When Snape calls an assembly after hearing that Harry was spotted in Hogsmeade, Harry doesn't stay under the invisibility cloak. In front of the whole school, he confronts Snape about his role in Dumbledore's passing. McGonagall and Snape's duel follows before Cerberus escapes.
How dare you stand where he stood?
In the Deathly Hallows book, Hermione reveals to Harry that she used the Obliviate spell to wipe herself from her parents' memories. But in the movie, we actually get to watch the moment it happens. It's an emotional scene and helps the audience connect much more deeply with Hermione's pain than if we had simply watched her tell Harry about it.
Obliviate.
As with many of these scenes, it can be presented differently on screen because the films aren't so closely tied to only showing what Harry is experiencing. That allows us viewers to develop greater empathy with other characters. The movies charted Hermione and Ron's changing relationship really well, but they took a few liberties with the source material along the way. Like in the Chamber of Secrets film, when Hermione joined her friends again after being cured from being petrified. She rushes up to Harry and gives him a big hug, and then she turns to Ron. They both lean in for a hug, but instead they settle for an awkward handshake. It's a perfect way to sum up their complicated relationship, but it didn't actually happen in the book that way. Which of these scenes do you think earns its place in the movies the most? And which one do you think isn't worthy of messing with JK's original vision? Let us know in the comments section and give this video a like if you love the wizarding world. Until next time, Potterheads, thanks for watching!